From playing on the football field to standing on Hollywood sets, Stanley Aughtry isn't chasing clout, he is cultivating purpose. He's a storyteller, a legacy builder, and a man who has turned quiet discipline into powerful impact. You've seen him in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. What you haven't seen is the faith, the fire, and the focus behind the scenes. He's here to talk about betting on yourself, creating your own opportunities, and building something that will last far beyond the spotlight. So let's get into it. Okay, awesome. So, Stanley, I want to welcome you to the podcast. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. Now, you started your career as an engineer before diving into acting and producing. So, how did your
hmm
background in engineering and business shape your approach to creative arts and entrepreneurship?
Definitely being an engineer allows you to be process minded. So it
Mhm.
allows you to think about process preparation and then execution. Really, as far as the arts is concerned, the arts allow you to use your imagination, play a little bit, definitely tell your side of interpretation. But the preparation, the hard work behind the scenes, the process of how to go about doing it is still very analytical in a sense. And so being an engineer definitely prepared me mentally to be able to not have an issue preparing, not have an issue understanding the process of completely putting a whole film together, my story together, and trying to execute it. So I think those are the things that kind of overlap in those skill sets.
Yeah, yeah. I think no matter where we are in our life, like when we are doing a thing, we're learning the skills to act that will actually help us when we're doing something different. When we lead
Mhm.
up to doing something different or doing something we love down the
Mhm.
road,
That's right.
it just prepares us.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Exactly right.
Yeah, I love that because yeah, that's how I felt about being in corporate and then going into entrepreneurship. Is yeah, certain skills that I learned in corporate definitely prepared me for
Yeah, definitely
entrepreneurship.
was exactly right.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So your role in Black Panther and
Okay.
Wakanda Forever. So that must
Yeah,
have been a pivotal moment for you. So can
definitely.
you share like what that experience was like both on set and as part of such a culturally impactful franchise?
Yes, being a part of Black Panther, especially the first one, dream come true moment. I always say
Hmm.
though, it's interesting the story that comes along with it of me becoming a part of that cast, but even beyond that, just being on set. What you all saw in the film was a lot of what the real spirit and energy was on set. There was a lot of respect given to the generations that's come before us, the elder generation that's on set with us there. It didn't matter if they weren't Chadwick Boseman. It didn't matter what their star level was. It was about how much
Yeah.
wisdom and character that you've carried out in life. And with that, if you're the eldest person out there, because we had people from ages late 80s all the way down
Hmm.
to kids. And from the top down, you showed honor and respect to the eldest people that were there on set, no matter what their role was all the way down. That spirit stayed with us throughout the whole shooting of that. And you felt like something
Hmm.
special was happening because you don't always see that. Sometimes, who's ever the boss, whoever the producer is, the executive producer, you can tell because the respect level is shown that way. The director is demanding a certain level of respect. The star actors are demanding a certain level of respect. This wasn't that kind of situation. Everyone really gelled. Everyone showed a down to earth personality. Everyone got along very well. And so you knew something was being created that would be special and magical. But I always say I don't think none of us expected $1.4 billion special. We knew it would be successful. We knew it would do well, but we didn't probably
Yeah.
anticipate that it was going to be something very hard to duplicate, basically. So it was definitely one experience for the books. And I compare that to Wakanda Forever, the second time we shot it, because it was a mixture that time. It was a mixture of the people that we had on the first movie in new faces and new people with now expectation. Like they've seen Black Panther 1, but they weren't a part of that. So the some of the magic I would say wasn't quite the same. because for some people, the authenticity of it all was going to be a different level. You now come in expecting it to be what you saw in the theater or what you saw on your screens back home because you weren't a part of the first experience. But those of us that was part of the first experience, we have a different bond, and at the same time, we're all completely still floored that Chadwick isn't with us. So we don't have to necessarily conjure up sadness for the scenes that we're in that we're remembering remembering T'Challa. We're seriously, genuinely sad. We're seriously like emotional about the fact that we didn't anticipate having to do another one and not having him with us. It was two different levels of experiences for myself being a part of both of them, where I can see something we're building up and we're doing, and then we have this huge success. Then we come back and we do part two, and we're not long from hearing that Chadwick had passed away, but we still got to push through and do this movie.
Yeah.
You do it in honor of him, but you also know you're missing a very key part of your family, and very different. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you have to prepare for these roles? You know how like Viola Davis, she had to prepare for the Woman King and physically get fit and all this stuff. Did you have to prepare any kind of way like that for these roles?
For the first one, I had to do a few more stunts than I maybe had to do for the second one. So there is some preparation in getting ready for that. Fortunately for myself, I definitely didn't have to go through as much as Viola had to, because she had to do it throughout the whole movie. For me, it's like I'm having certain parts in the movie that I'm popping in and popping out, so I don't have to carry the movie on my shoulders yet. That day hasn't come. I'm waiting for it, Marvel. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, for these two, I didn't have to prepare at the same level as a Viola Davis in terms of the whole movie, all these different scenes and everything else. If I have to do not only a physical preparation, but also mental preparation, it's only for a few scenes, and then I'm able to do my thing. A few weeks later, I'm done. Where for Viola or when Chadwick was here, they have to prepare sometimes for a full year before you even get started, because sometimes they're not as familiar with some of the tactical skills that you got to do, some of the hand-to-hand combat that you got to learn. So it can take a little longer, but a lot of your stunt duplicates, your stunt doubles are very good at carrying off a lot of that stuff. So it makes it a little easier, and then you can step in and be the face for those stunts. But yeah, it's always fun to do because you learn some new things. But movie magic is very magical. So once you see the finished product, people are like, oh my God, I didn't know they could do X, Y, and Z. But in reality, when you shoot it, it don't look like that. It'll be in slow motion. And then in reality, it'll look really fast. So it's very interesting to see that happen. So it was cool.
I bet it is. Yeah, it's on my bucket list to be on the behind the scenes of a movie one day. I want to see how all that goes down.
Oh yeah, it's a lot to see, and especially if you got a good production team, they can pull off some very sophisticated things that come out beautifully. So yeah, it's a good experience.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so now you've embraced the term actorpreneur, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, how do you define that term, and how have you successfully blended your acting career with your entrepreneurial ventures?
Yeah, the reason why the term became such an endearing thing for me, because I started really speaking to different artists that weren't just how they used to think maybe you left-brained versus right-brained. It's like for myself, when you asked me the question about how the engineering overlaps with the artist side, people were saying that you normally don't have both. You normally not excelling in your art side and excelling in your analytical side as much. But I always take it back to whenever we were all children. And I say when you're in school, you're usually going to have about 7 classes or so, and where your parents are looking for you to get A's and B's in all courses. They're not thinking about you being right-brained or left-brained. They want you to excel in everything you touch and everything you do. And you try to do that. Even the extracurricular activities, whether it's sports, music, band, any of those things, you still trying to do your best. And so it's only until you get to college where they're asking you to pick a major, and you pick a major, And usually that particular thing, if you graduate with it, you're coming out of college and they're like, hopefully you get to use that degree and you get to work in that field and you get to make money with that field because there was money spent for you to get that degree. And when doing that, it's tunnel focused and you start
Mhm.
not really putting a lot of energy in terms of some of the other philosophies that you learned, the other studies that you learned. If I'm an engineer, I'm not supposed to put a lot of energy in history anymore. I'm not supposed to put a lot of energy in maybe English and literature as much because now I'm a math and science guy. But that didn't mean that I didn't do well in English or history, or that I didn't find it interesting, or that I can't do well in sports or music. So when you're older, you can get paid from a stream, but as we all come to learn, is like the more streams of income you're able to monetize, the better service of life quality that you may have. And then at the same time, it's also more fulfillment in yourself and in your heart. So for me, being able to be one that being able to play a high level of football in life, be able to be an engineer and accomplish that and go in corporate America and do well in that, being able to start businesses and watch them thrive, and now being able to get into the art world and industry and being able to really put some major marks onto my resume. It's been a situation in where, like you've asked, how do you do it, or how do you do them all, or how does it all make sense? And to me, it all ties back to not forgetting how to excel in all those different philosophies, not forgetting that if I had an interest in other things, I can still have time in my life to give to that if I manage it right. So that
Right.
one, I can see what I can do with it. Two, I can see if I'm still interested in it. And three, if I can monetize it and get paid for it, that's just the icing on a cake. We used to have to do it.
Okay.
Now I can be paid to do it. So the actorpreneur is for me to be able to sustain being an actor. I still have businesses that's working in the background. So that helps me in the actor world not have to take every job that I'm might be offered or every audition that might come my way. I can be selective and choose something that I can feel true to because I'm
Right.
also getting enough from my other business world or my other life so that I don't have to do it. And so that starving actor, that starving artist mentality that we used to come up reading about, hearing about,
Mm.
we want to remove that stench. We want to remove the fact that if you want to wait for your big break, you don't have to wait for your big break in vain. You can definitely still be productive doing some other passions and things that you may have a talent for and still accomplish being that artist that you want to see yourself be. And so that's where the term actorpreneur came from, and trying to gear people up to know like you do not have to be a starving anything. You can definitely make time to fulfill yourself and take a chance, do it all. Maybe not all at the same time sometimes, but you can try to do it all. There you go.
You can.
Yeah, uh-huh. You sure can.
And so speaking of that, because you wrote a children's book, that's so dope to me. I'm like, look at this. Decisions, decisions. So what
Yeah.
inspired that project? Yeah.
That's partnered with author Tiffany L. Burgess, who's also an actress and writer
Mhm.
and public health professional. So she's another one that I let her know. I said, because she hadn't started acting until we kind of met more so and started talking about that. And so now she's been on The Color Purple. She's done other
Mm.
films, and she still has worked for the CDC, and she's also a children's book writer. So being that she saw me do this and it was a thing that was curious to her early on, but now she's been able to live out that herself. She had always said to me, like, we might write a book. I just try to see how to do it and who to target. And once she
Yeah.
started thinking about the fact that we really don't have a lot of children's books for young Black boys. So even though the
Mhm.
term is good for a number of people, and no matter the racial tone or anything, but definitely like keying in on young Black boys, she was like, let's use a character similar to you and let's transpose it a little bit and where it's almost your life a bit, and we'll just come up with some creative ideas and thoughts about it. So there is a little Stanley Manley that's in the book. That's his name.
Yeah.
And he goes about his story and has to write about what he wants to be when he grows up. And he talks to some adults and try to get different ideas of what he may want to be. And the same thing me and you just went over, perhaps it's maybe not just one thing. Perhaps he finds himself interested in a few different philosophies and try to figure out how can he go about completing those different philosophies before the dash of life is over, before he's in the grave. Can I live out these different passions in my life? That's how the book came about. And so we worked on it, picked the characters, got a great illustrator to work with us on that. And lo and behold, the book came out and it's been available on Amazon and as well as Barnes and Nobles. And so it's been building traction and more traction as time's gone on. But it really has detailed the actorpreneur side, but from a children's book perspective, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. So do you think you're doing everything you love at this moment? Or I know there's probably some more things you want to do, but it's like you are getting it done. So we need some tips on like how you manifesting all of this.
It's simple for me. Almost
Yeah.
anything people hear, they're going to hear me say God somewhere in my conversation. So mostly when I move, it's a God-led situation. So even in this, as far as acting goes, this wasn't something that I can say as a kid. I always dreamed of being on TV or being in movies. I felt like I could do it, but it wasn't something that I literally dreamed to do. But God brought an opportunity. And at the time when he brought the opportunity, I was obedient and I was prepared. So by me being obedient and being prepared, stuff happened that don't normally happen for I think everyone. And because of that, that favor happened for me. And it turned out to build a bug in me. And then I put the work in, even behind it, to get better at it. And as I worked in faith of what he was doing and continued to study and get better at it, more and more opportunities would come. But a lot of the big credits that are on my resume now are more God-led credits than agent-led credits. My agents do great jobs of getting me auditions and getting me in front of different casting directors. But a lot of the actual executed work that most people point at and say, oh my gosh, you got a chance to do this or be in this. It's a big, long faith story behind that, and God did it.
Yeah.
All the things, business, some of the other things that I can mention, it's really been him ordering those steps and me trying to be obedient to the steps he's ordering as best as possible. And when it happens, it don't really get better than his story. So that's his doing. For me, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it pretty much sounds like you were just aligned. You were just in alignment. And like you said, doing the work, that's a big deal. Because a lot of times we think that things aren't happening the way we want them to, but we're not doing enough to make it happen. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You still got to do some work
Yeah.
with it.
So
Everything don't just fall in your lap.
exactly.
Especially if you're just sitting on your hands, it's not going to really work that way. But once you see certain things lining up, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to what's happening, and then do your part. And once you do your part, like the stuff will manifest, like you said.
I love that. Okay. Okay, now as a producer of impactful films like Kill Devil Hills and Darling Nikki, what drives your storytelling choices and how do you select projects that align with your personal mission?
Okay, so sometimes with our production and producing side, we can listen to different writers that have different ideas. And you try to see if there's a story that's similar to that's being told. If not, it can raise your ears a little bit to say, this is somewhat similar but different in this way. So I think I would be intrigued to see it. Other times it could be a story and where we're just trying to build awareness and we're trying to make sure that more public eyes and opportunities are there to tell stories that are less told. As mental health is concerned, that's a part of Darling Nikki's story. And other times, part of the evaluation could be if it makes business sense. If it makes business sense because you think that the investment into it is going to be worth the result of money that may come from it. It can be a business decision as well as it's a good moral thing to do as well, but it definitely still needs to make some business sense. So when it comes to producing, I look and evaluate all of those things to determine if it's a story that I want to tie myself to and people to know like I was a part of actually producing that particular story. as
Mhm.
well as I'm not just hopefully burning money by producing a story no one wants to hear or that I will be
Yeah.
embarrassed to showcase. Those are usually the evaluation processes that I go through, and then I can move forward on different projects that way if I didn't write it myself. So if someone else
Mhm.
wrote it and I'm looking to produce it, those are my evaluation processes.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So when you, I'll say this, if there are other people, let's say there are other people who want to follow in your footsteps with whether it's acting, producing, entrepreneurship, and balancing those different things. I don't know if there is a balance. I guess you just make it work. But what kind of tips would you give them if they want to take that type of journey?
Balance actually is a good word that you use, but the balance comes with the time management as well. And the
Yeah.
third thing would be what I call sacrifice, because I'm actually having to channel some of that when I'm talking to young people, because I know it can feel like you don't want to sacrifice right now for the future, especially for them, because it can feel like what's happening right now is so uber important, not knowing that you're not missing out on much yet. And trust me, if you just take a little, like you said, a little check and balance there, what you may
Mhm.
sacrifice now for the betterment of your long-term future, you can thank your younger self later. And so by doing that, you can better position yourself. And I feel like that's what helped me because, as I mentioned, if I'm working in engineering at the time that I'm doing it, I'm also trying to be smart with my expenses. So I'm able to put money away. I'm able to invest in the right things. So even before I start my own businesses. So once I'm able to start my own businesses, I try to make those things as businesses that can be successful without needing me there every day, without needing me there every hour. So therefore, if I'm on set doing a movie, if I'm on set producing a movie, I don't have to be in multiple places at the same time.
Mhm.
For me, that's how it worked out for myself to do a lot of the different things that I'm doing is because I'm able to have things working in the background without me having to necessarily be there and be available for it each and every
Yeah.
moment. And the thing that I will have to be there for, which is maybe me being in front of the camera for film, I can give my attention fully to it, knowing that I got processes put in place for the stuff that's working in the background that will still pay for bills, still pay for future, and
Mhm.
still secure finances for the future. So for people that would like to do this, one of the biggest things that will hold them back is time and money.
Yes.
Time and money. And it takes a certain level of discipline. It also takes a certain level of being able to make the right choices to properly finance yourself to where when you're ready to step out on faith in certain things, that you can handle your business at home, your bills, all those good things, your family in the manner for you to go after your passions that may not start off paying you a lot at first sometimes. You don't just
Mhm.
take your first job and you get $1 million. It's not how that works. You have to still work your way up sometimes. And at the end of the day, you'll still be grateful you did it. You just want to try at your passions. You really want to give it an effort. But if you tie it up by your time, by your money, to a place where you can't free yourself, then it's going to be
Mhm.
hard for you to, yeah, it's going to be hard for you to balance all of those things. You have to be able to make some
Mhm.
choices so that you can free your time and free your money. And once you can do that, you can go after some things. But it takes sacrifice.
It does take sacrifice. And it also takes you recognizing when you need self-care as when you're going along with these different things because you could get so bogged down and stuff that you're just not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
You're right.
Yeah. And so that comes with the freedom. I think freeing your mind and just how would I say it? Regeneration, recharging, that type
Yeah.
of thing, resetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because
fun.
you
Yeah.
can get overwhelmed and burnt out from all the things. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny,
I think
you
processes was something good that you mentioned too, so that you have those in place.
that's right. And it's funny that you said
Go
that
ahead, I'm
about,
listening.
oh, it's funny that you said something about recharging because I really feel like COVID was an opportunity to recharge or to reset. And at the time, it felt like some people was understanding that and really going to get on the ball with that. But as the world became more and more normal and back to how it used to be, actually, even more people just started going right back to their old habits. But it was like during the pandemic when people was shut in, they was at home, government was sending money to you, so you didn't necessarily have to pay your rent, pay your mortgage. You can go to the grocery store and get what you want, get back home, go outside and exercise if you want to, but come back home. It's an opportunity to recenter, refocus, really think about what you want to do in life. You heard terms like essential workers. Determine if what you're doing is essential. And if it's not essential, what you want to do about it. Determine if you want it to be in a position that someone else can make you do something with your body that you might not be quite ready for because you work for them. Or do you want to be in a position that you can determine what you want to do, when you want to do it health-wise, and a lot of things like that. So the pandemic gave us an opportunity to do it. And some people was able to capitalize on that. And some people went right back into the rigmarole. But even now, it's not too late to, like you said, it's not too late to look at that thing and decide, do I need to recenter, settle down and refocus on things, and what am I really wanting to do at different stages and different chapters in your life, because you'll have opportunities at different stages, and it's just up to you if this is the time that you're going to take that step or not, because at some point you might feel like it's too late. And I always use my elder in the Black Panther, I always use her as an example. She didn't start acting until she was 88 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And if you look at her resume, like, she has some great credits on her resume. She actually passed away while we were shooting the second Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. She passed away during that time. But she acted from like 88 to around 93, 94 years of age. But she did Black Panther and Wakanda Forever before she passed away. Sometimes it don't have to happen in your 20s, 30s, and they'll tell you you might be too old to start acting or to start singing or whatever it may be. And here's a woman who didn't start acting until she was 88, and she was in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever before she pieced out of the world at 93, 94 years old. So that shows you right there, there's different stages and times of life. You still can do it. So it's not a situation where it has to happen all right now. But just be mind, don't give up, stay encouraged, and be prepared. Keep preparing, and you never know. You never know.
Well, after this, I guess I can never say I'm too old again.
That's right. Like, she went on Steve Harvey to tell that story, I think, herself as well. So she waited all that time, and yeah, she was able to do some really cool things before she left.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah. If anyone's listening to your podcast and haven't heard her real name, her name is Dorothy Steele. So they can look up or Google Dorothy Steele.
Yeah,
She was
I'm gonna do
the
that.
Merchant Tribe elder, and they can look up her story. Yeah, she hadn't started acting until she was 88, but she did some great movies and shows before she passed away. And she waited 88 years. 88 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look her up.
Yep.
Yeah. So what you got going on now and what's coming up?
Okay. So as we was mentioning earlier before we got started, my most recent show that came out, Chicago Fire, season 13, episode 10, Chaos Theory, appeared last Wednesday on NBC. It's now streaming on Peacock. So that was the most recent project that came out. The next project to come out, to my knowledge, will be A Lover's Vow. It'll play through the streaming platform of Passion Flix, which is owned by Elon Musk's sister, Musk. So that'll be February 13th. So it's a Valentine's Day romance show. It's actually off of the book by Brenda Jackson, who is an author, New York USA Today bestseller. So she had 3 books that she had a chance to turn to movies. So this is a third installment of those 3 books, but it's called A Lover's Vow, and it'll be out Valentine's weekend. And then I have a few other projects. I don't know when they'll air, but you can go to my IMDb and look in the post production, and you can see them coming. And then there's one special project I still can't speak on yet, but it should be on Stars. It is a show that everyone loves so far. And I can say that the season before my season is going to be coming on in the late winter, early spring. But yeah, folks can take a look at that. And I'm looking forward to when they finally do air my season and episodes on that. But yeah, that's it. Last year was a good year, even though we was coming out of the strike and work was kind of slow for a lot of people. I was able to work pretty much every month last year doing something. So it was very productive in that manner. And I hope this year the right projects continue to come through. We get to work on some more good things. But yeah, there's some good things out there that's coming. So I'm looking forward to seeing them and seeing how they turned out, because I may have worked on them, but I don't always get to see the finished product before I'm working on something else. I'm looking forward to seeing how they mostly all turned out as well.
Now, see, when you were talking, I had a question about what your dream role would be or something like that. But I really want to ask you, what do you think about where we are now as far as Black actors in Hollywood getting roles and things like that? What does that look like right now that you think?
It's funny you should say that. I was watching, I think it's called Black Comedy in America. It's a 10 episode installment on, I think, Vice. And it was funny because I was watching one of the episodes where they covered Best Man, the movie, and all of them. And it was telling that story. And Tay Diggs said something, even when they did the first Best Man, he said he thought after he did it, that's it. I'm about to be out the stratosphere, about to get jobs. They about to book me like I'm Matt Damon. And he realized, like, even when that happened, like, his phone really wasn't ringing that much more or anything like that. And he, at that time, didn't want to technically acknowledge the difference being a Black actor and what that means in Hollywood. But he then found out, and then he figured out how to navigate that a little better. But I would say, even to this day, if people just look at the product that's on screens most of the time, it's still, for major productions, it's still very difficult. That's why you see a lot of the same actors and actresses in those different major products, because you can watch a movie and you can see our counterparts of other races. It could be fresh faces, new opportunities all over the place for those to kind of star and lead in a lot of those projects. But the one or two or three Black people that you see will be the same Black faces that you're used to seeing taking up those spots, which makes it hard for up and coming Black talent to get those opportunities, because the offer is still going to the mainstays and the main faces that represent, quote unquote, the Black people in those fields. The only caveat to that now is that there's more people willing to try to do not a full Tyler Perry reproduction of how to go about making films, but they're more courageous and, hey, I'm gonna make my own stuff, which is good. It's good and it's bad. It's good because that's what you gotta do in a sense. Is, hey, don't wait no more. If you got something that you need to get off your chest, you need to write about, you need to get done, figure out the way to do it. If you don't really have the budget, I wouldn't say just do it on a shoestring budget, but at the same time, if you don't have it and you don't know how to get it, I see them doing whatever they can just to try to shoot something. And each time you're going to get more experience and hopefully you'll get better and better. But you've noticed that a lot of our viewers, sometimes they don't take a lot of big production money and quality to see it. Sometimes they want to see the train wreck. Sometimes they want to talk about when they used to say, look at those Tubi movies. Oh my God, can you believe this happened in this Tubi movie? But while they were saying that, they was inadvertently marketing for Tubi. And so therefore people would come on over to see, quote unquote, this mess that's on Tubi of this movie. But then you're sending viewers over there, and Tubi is more than halfway to almost $1 billion in like value. And people don't know that. I think it's Fox owns Tubi. So at the end of the day, you can laugh about it while they laugh into the bank. So you're seeing Yeah, so you seeing us
Yeah.
try to do our own movies and put ourselves in it, but people not always putting a lot of work behind, like I talked about,
Yeah.
getting better with your acting, getting better with your production, getting better with your directing. And we all know that lighting, sound, and the
Yes.
finished product of editing is just super important to your production.
Mhm.
And if you can do that, yeah, you can turn things into something great. So I say all
Mhm.
that to say we still see major challenges and opportunities in major Hollywood in terms of opening up more opportunities for people of color to lead a lot more films, while at the same time we also are seeing a lot of people say, fine, I'm gonna just shoot my own stuff the best way I can and I'm gonna put it out there. And even if it's
Mhm.
not getting a lot of people watching today, it'll be out there for me to enjoy and see. And if I keep getting better at it and doing it, who knows, one day I might be able to do something great with it. We are seeing that happen too, where some people are having a lot of success as well and they're making money with it. And it's not a whole lot of quality per se, but some people like it because they don't have to pay attention to it. It's like a nighttime soap opera and they're able
Yeah.
just to, yeah, they're able just to, it's like mindless TV. They can just put it on and be like, ah, did you see that? That kind of stumped me. I didn't see that story going that way, or all the twists and turns, just the entertainment of laughing at something or being surprised by something and not have to take it seriously. People are making different avenues to
Yeah.
subsidize for not having opportunity in Hollywood. And unfortunately, I can't say
That's good.
that Hollywood's going to do something different. I think Hollywood's going to do what they've been doing
Mhm.
or worse. But at the same
Mhm.
time,
Yeah.
you can make your own opportunities. So people are doing that too.
That's good. I say go for it because I'm like, listen, I don't wait around. I go. I have to go and get it. I just can't
That's
sit
right.
and wait for something to just come. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah. I don't
that's
blame
good.
you.
That's
Yeah. If it's on you, get it off you. Go do it.
right.
But you can. Yeah.
Right.
Just do it the best way you can.
This is so good. You gave
Yeah.
us some really good nuggets. I appreciate this conversation.
No problem. Now, I don't want to leave your other question. Now, I know you was like, what would be one of my dream roles, but I always think of my roles. I think I would want to see myself in is where I get to play someone with at least layered personalities a bit, and where in some parts I get to be very laid back and maybe
Mhm.
smooth talking, smooth whatever. But then in other ways, I can also be aggressive, maybe crazy, maybe hilarious. Some other guy, but he has layered personalities a bit. In the show
Mhm.
Average Joe, if people go watch Average Joe on Netflix or BET Plus or BET at this point, in episodes 9 and 10, they get to see me play Bobby Taylor. Now, Bobby kind of, without telling people the story, like Bobby gets to play a little bit of a different personality of what he appears to be. But for people that know me personally, when they see Bobby, they think of Bobby being someone completely opposite of who I am as a human. So that's what kind of triggered me to be like, oh, it'll be fun to play someone like that with multiple personalities because Bobby gets to be a little more aggressive, definitely a little more boisterous with his tongue and how he speaks to people and whatever. And he can be a little bit more violent or whatever the case may be if he has to be.
Mhm.
In my life, I don't get to show that side. So it's like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, being able to do that in a character was fun. But then when people see it, they saw my face and they like, I know him, but I don't think that's him because of how Bobby was acting. They was like, I don't think that's Stanley, even though he looks just like Stanley, but that's not Stanley. Stanley wouldn't do that. He wouldn't say that. And I'm like, of course not, because he's Bobby.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, something like that is
Yeah.
always fun, and it's fun to hear that feedback from people too, especially the ones that know you, because it's hard for them to see you being someone else, and when you're someone else successfully, and they have to question it and truly pause the TV and make sure the name comes up and yep, that's him. You're doing a good job because you're fooling the people that's known you for decades, and they're like, I see him, but I can't believe that's him acting like that,
Mhm.
talking like that. And you're like, yeah, I got him.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah. So last but not least, are you
Okay.
married? You got kids? What's up?
No, I'm not married yet and no kids yet, but I still would like to get married, of course, and I actually
Mhm.
still would like to have children. So that is something on my list that has not been checked off yet, but I'm praying and hoping
Mhm.
that it does happen.
And
Of course, still in God's timing, but also
just like
I'm like,
everything else.
yeah, I'm like, okay, God, we can go ahead and let's talk about this time and let's get it going. So at the same time, I feel like I'm ready for it, but in God's time at the same time, give my will to
Yeah.
Him, let His will be done. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because none of this is on our timetable. So it's just, yeah, we just gotta wait and in the right timing it'll happen. We just gotta trust it.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause if I do too much myself, I could make the wrong choice. I could totally mess it up, and then I'll have some regrets. But at
Exactly.
this point, He's allowed me to be this patient. So I
Mhm.
pray not to be this patient and still get it wrong. And maybe
That
that was
part.
maybe it was preparation for me. So for me to be prepared. So with this
Mhm.
time, hopefully I'm more prepared for a decision that I could have made 20 years ago and it could have been the wrong decision, or I might not be prepared for it then. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping
Yeah.
for.
Awesome. Okay. I thank you for your time. I really
Of course.
appreciate this.
No problem. Thank you for having me on your show.
Okay, so where can we find? I know we can find you on all social media. Is it under
Hmm.
your name? Okay.
Yes,
All
Stanley Aughtry on Instagram and on Facebook. I don't do a lot
right.
on X, but if you follow
Mhm.
on X, it'll be at Aughtry Stanley. It'll be in reverse if you're on
Okay.
X. But yeah, you can find me on all social media. And like I said, my IMDb is my first and last name as well.
Mhm.
Nothing funky, just straight Stanley Aughtry. I'm the only Stanley Aughtry in the world, so there's no need for me to
Yes.
do anything special. That was me and my father, and he's gone on, unfortunately, already. So right now it's just me.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can find me easily.
All right, we'll be looking for you.
Thank you. Please do.
All
I'll
right,
try to do
Stanley.
my best and keep everybody proud as much as I can.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.